The pain is not a metaphor. It tastes like rusty metal and smells like rotting flesh. You are sitting in your office in London, September 1939, and every breath is a battle against the monster, the rubber and metal prosthesis that replaces the jaw cancer devoured. You have spent your entire life listening to humanity's darkest secrets, wading into the mire of the unconscious, where no one dared tread, dissecting dreams and forbidden desires. The world calls you a genius, the father of psychoanalysis, the man who changed the 20th century. But here, in the darkness, as the air raid sirens begin to wail over London and the morphine wears off, you wonder if the price for looking into the abyss was being consumed by it. You taught the world to talk about its pain, but now, ironically, you can barely articulate a word without agony. It all begins long before the pain in the small town of Freiburg, Moravia in 1856. You are born with a membrane covering your head, a veil, and your mother, Amalia, takes this as a sign of greatness. She calls you my golden Siggy. Her love is the first gravitational force in your life, an adoration so intense and unconditional that it plants an indestructible self-confidence in you, the armor necessary for what is to come. You grow up in Vienna, a city of waltzes, decaying empires, and suffocating sexual hypocrisy. While your siblings play the piano, you study. The noise irritates you so much that the piano is banned from the house. Silence is your first luxury, the space where your mind learns to run. You want to be a general, a minister, but you are Jewish in an empire where anti-Semitism is as common as the air you breathe. Medicine isn't a passion, it's the only door open. In Ernst Brücke's laboratory, you find refuge in physiology. You dissect eels, searching for testicles, searching for biological certainties. Your fingers smell of formaldehyde and fish, and your eyes burn under the dim light of the oil lamps. You are meticulous, obsessive, but pure science doesn't pay the bills, and you want to marry Martha. Poverty pushes you toward the Vienna General Hospital. It is there, in the hallways filled with whales and the smell of ether, that you seek a shortcut to fame. You find a new alkaloid, a magical substance that soldiers use for fatigue. Cocaine. You try it. The euphoria is immediate. The chronic depression that haunts you dissolves. You write passionate letters to Martha, calling her princess, under the influence of the powder. You believe you have found the cure for everything, from melancholy to indigestion. You publish articles, distribute samples to friends, to colleagues. You insist that your friend Fleischl, addicted to morphine, use cocaine to cure himself. You watch, horrified, as the hallucinations of insects crawling beneath his skin drive him to madness and death. The miracle cure is a poison, and the guilt falls upon your shoulders like a lead cloak. Your first attempt at greatness ends in professional disaster and private shame. Seeking redemption, you travel to Paris. The Salpêtrière Hospital is a theater of horrors and fascination. Jean-Martin Charcot, the Napoleon of neuroses, shows you that hysteria is not fakery, nor is it exclusively female. You see men paralyzed without physical injury. You witness the power of hypnosis. A seed is planted. The mind can sicken the body. You return to Vienna electrified, ready to tell the old doctors they are wrong. At the medical society, you step onto the stage, confident, and declare that men can be hysterical. The silence in the room is glacial. They laugh at you. The isolation begins. It is 1886, and you are alone, newly married, with an empty clinic and a stained reputation. In a moment of frustration, after a long day treating patients that traditional medicine scorns, you light a cigar. The smoke fills your lungs, acrid and comforting. You do not know it, but you have just lit the fuse of a time bomb that will take 33 years to explode, destroying the very face that now exhales smoke with defiant arrogance. The 1890s are your wilderness. You abandon hypnosis. It is flawed, too mystical. You want the naked truth. You start asking patients to simply talk. The talking cure, as your colleague Brewer's patient christened it. But what they talk about disturbs you. In every neurosis, in every anxiety, you find the same specter: sex. childhood abuses, repressed desires, unspeakable fantasies. Vienna is a city buttoned up to its neck, where piano legs are covered out of modesty, and you're about to state that children have sexuality. Brewer, your mentor and father figure, recoils in horror when you suggest that the etiology of neuroses is sexual. He abandons you. You are once again alone, but this time the solitude is productive. You decide to do something no human being has done with such rigor before. You become your own patient. Every night after the patients leave, surrounded by your ancient figurines, Egyptian, Roman, Greek gods that you obsessively collect as silent guardians, you plunge into your own dreams. You write everything down: the dream of Irma's injection, the dream of the dead mother. You dissect your jealousies, your desires for your mother, your hatred for your father. It is a psychic vivisection without anesthesia. You discover the Oedipus complex, not in others, but in the mirror. You realize that man is not master in his own house. We are governed by submerged forces, an iceberg where reason is only the visible tip. The smell of tobacco permeates the curtains, your clothes, your beard. You smoke 20 cigars a day. Your heartbeat is irregular. You have arrhythmias that terrify you, but the cigar is your pen, your marshal's baton. Without it, you cannot work. In 1900, you publish The Interpretation of Dreams. It is your masterpiece. You anticipate a revolution. The world responds with a yawn. The book sells fewer than 400 copies in 6 years. The disappointment is bitter, a taste of bile in your mouth, but you continue. Slowly, they begin to arrive. Young doctors, intellectuals, drawn by your courage to look into the dark. Jung, Adler, Rank. The Wednesday meetings at your house become legendary. The air is thick with smoke and revolutionary ideas. You are the patriarch, the conqueror, but greatness demands absolute loyalty. When Adler disagrees, he is expelled. When Jung, your crown prince, dares to suggest that libido is not solely sexual, the rupture is brutal. You faint twice in his presence, your body betraying the anguish that your mind attempts to control. You sacrifice friendships on the altar of your theory. You believe you are protecting psychoanalysis, but you are building a fortress where there is only room for one king. You write furiously, expanding the empire of the mind, the ego, the id, the superego. The world begins to listen. You are invited to America. You stand on the ship's deck looking at the Statue of Liberty beside Jung and murmur with an ironic smile. They do not know we are bringing the plague. Little do you know that the real plague will not come from your science, but from the mutant cells already beginning to multiply silently in your palate, fed by decades of constant smoke. It is 1923. You are 67 years old. The world changed after the Great War. Innocents died in the trenches, confirming your theories about the death drive. But your personal war is just beginning. You feel a swelling on the right side of your mouth. It bleeds when you eat. You consult a doctor, minimizing the severity, but his look betrays him. Cancer, leukoplakia, that has turned malignant. The first surgery is a butchery. They remove part of your jawbone and palate without proper preparation. You wake up in a narrow bed, unable to speak, bleeding profusely, surrounded by an incompetent nurse. Your daughter, Anna, the only one who never abandoned you, the only one you allowed fully into your sanctuary, takes care of you. This is only the first of 33 surgeries, 16 years of surgical torture. They construct a prosthesis to close the hole between your mouth and your nasal cavity. You call it the monster. It is a horrific piece of rubber and metal that must be fitted every morning with excruciating difficulty. It hurts, wounds the scar tissue, and smells foul. Eating becomes an ordeal. You have to open your mouth with a clothespin just to insert food. Your voice, once the precise instrument of analysis, becomes hoarse, nasal, difficult to understand. Hearing on the right side disappears, but you do not stop. You write. Civilization and its discontents. While your own body is a constant discontent, pain is your constant companion, sitting in the analyst's armchair while you see patients. Your dog, your beloved Chow Chow, recoils from the smell of necrosis that emanates from your mouth. This is the cruelest blow, the instinctive rejection by the being whose affection you most cherish. While your body fights the inner monster, the world outside faces a greater beast. Hitler rises to power in Germany. In 1933, your books are burned in the public square in Berlin. Einstein, Marx, Freud, ashes in the wind. You try to use humor, your old defense. What progress we are making. In the Middle Ages, they would have burned me. Now they are content with burning my books. You underestimate the hatred, rationalizing the irrational, clinging to the belief that Vienna, your cultural Vienna, will protect you. You are wrong. In 1938, Austria is annexed. The swastika flutters over the city you diagnosed. The Gestapo invades your apartment. They take the money, they rifle through your papers, but it is when they take Anna in for interrogation that your arrogance crumbles. For hours, you walk through the office smoking cigar after cigar, imagining what they are doing to her. Fear is a cold drill in your stomach, worse than any pain in your jaw. When she returns, pale but alive, you know it is time to leave. You leave Vienna, you leave your sisters behind. 4 of them will die in concentration camps, a horrific fate that you, thankfully, will never have full confirmation of, though your nightmares suggest it. You board the Orient Express for London, a fragile old man, carrying your stone gods and your immortal pain, fleeing the barbarism that your science predicted, but could not stop. London receives you as a hero. Your house in Maresfield Gardens is an exact replica of your Vienna consulting room. The couch, the Persian rugs, the statuettes, everything meticulously positioned to deny the trauma of exile. But cancer does not respect borders. It has returned relentless. Now, the hole in your face gives off such a strong odor that mosquitoes are drawn to it, and you sleep under a mosquito net like a preserved relic. The pain no longer responds to aspirin, and you hate strong painkillers that cloud the mind. For you, losing mental clarity is worse than death. You prefer thinking through the agony to dreaming in oblivion. Illustrious visitors come to see you. Salvador Dali sketches your skull. H.G. Wells discusses the future. They see a monument. You feel only the failing shell. It is September 1939. The radio announces that England is at war with Germany. The cycle of destruction begins again. You read Balzac's The Wild Ass's Skin voraciously, perhaps seeking to understand the shrinking of life. On September 21st, you call your doctor and friend, Max Schur. You have an old pact. Schur, you whisper, your voice gurgling and labored, holding his hand with the strength you have left. You remember our first meeting. You promised not to abandon me when the time came. Now it is only torture, and it makes no more sense. Schur's gaze is one of sadness, but of respect. He understands. There is no melodrama, just the brutal rationality that guided your entire life. Anna resists. She cries. She wants, to keep you there, but she sees the suffering in your eyes, eyes that saw more of the human soul than any other pair this century. On the 21st and 22nd, Schur administers the doses of morphine. The relief finally comes. The pain retreats, the monster of metal and the rotting flesh cease to be the center of the universe. You slide into the state you spent your life studying, the deep unconscious, the dreamless sleep. The man who declared that the aim of all life is death finally allows himself to stop fighting. Outside, the world prepares for the greatest slaughter in history. Inside, in the silence of the London office, the cigar finally goes out. You die at midnight on September 23rd. Your body turned to ashes, but the words you invented, ego, repression, complex, slip, have already moved from your wounded mouth to become the lingua franca of how humanity understands itself. You never knew, but the true price of your greatness was not just cancer. It was becoming immortal at the cost of never having had peace. Today we sit on the couch you designed, we use the terms you coined, and we analyze the dreams you deciphered. Were you a hero? Or an intellectual tyrant, a scientist or a modern mythmaker? Perhaps the answer lies in the very ambiguity you taught us to accept. You paid with your flesh to give us a mirror. The question that remains, while the smoke of your legacy still hangs in the air, is, do we have the courage to look into that mirror, or do we continue running from the monsters that dwell inside us, just like your dog ran from the scent of your wound? You lived this life. But there is another waiting for you, another choice, another destiny, another truth that no one told you. The next life is right next door. Can you endure it? If this life left its mark on you, leave a like. Share this so others can experience what you just felt. And subscribe, because every week you become someone else. History doesn't wait. Will you?